Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today we're gonna be messing with my storage server. I did a video way back where I set up first I installed Server 2016, then I put Microsoft storage spaces, storage pools on that one, but we never did any speed test. Well, I did a speed test on iSCSI in a video later, but I had a lot of requests for doing a speed test on those drives, and I thought that we should try and do that today. And to get the best results, or the most accurate results, we're gonna also be installing a RAM drive so that we can transfer files directly from RAM and to the drives, and from the drives into the RAM. So that should give the best results to what this can do. I'm not expecting very much. I was very disappointed in the last video, although I did see after I installed 10G and replaced all my switches, I actually got better results on my computer. But let's go to this console behind me and install some software. So to play catch up down here, we have this storage server, and it's a Lenovo X3550 Model 4. It has a couple of awesome Xeon processors, and then it has these 48 drives attached through an external SAS connection, 6 gigabits per second, and it has 4 internal drives. It has the first one is an SSD. The second one is the second one is a 500 gigabyte SAS drive that we did in the last video. I have just configured that right now so that we can test on that as well. Then we have two 146 gigabyte SAS drives that are configured in a RAID 1. So we have a little bit of testing there, but it's the ones down here that are really interesting. The first 24 drives here are configured in a pool, and these are, what are they? Oh, they are the 2 terabyte drives. The top ones are the 2 terabytes, and the bottom ones down here, they are all 600 gigabyte SAS drives. These are SATA drives, but they have a print on the back of the drive that converts that from SATA to SAS. Not sure exactly how well that works, and I don't think our testing is gonna prove that, but they have a little extra PCB on the back of the board that should enable them to do something weird like that. Much like this PCB, this is from a Dell server. This is a SATA drive, and it is converted to be able to handle a SAS controller. Okay, so this looks like this. We have a C drive, and that is located on the SSD. And we have a 4 gigabyte, that is a USB stick that I put in there for the software we're gonna be installing. Then we have 10 terabyte, that's the 600 gigabyte. And we have 3 of those. I've been doing some over provisioning of this Windows storage spaces, storage pools, and we have a RAID 1, we have a RAID 0, and we have a RAID 5. We have the same thing with the 2 terabyte drives. We have 3 drives. Also, this is over provisioned to an extent where you shouldn't do it for your production environment. We're not gonna be going anywhere near that we would run out of space, but we have a RAID 0, RAID 1, and a RAID 5. Then we have a single SAS drive, that's about 500 gigabyte drive that I put in. And then we have the 2 SAS drives, and I made an error telling you that was a RAID 1. That is actually a RAID 0. So that's how it looks in here. There's a lot of disks in this server, 52 hard drives. Okay, so here we have some software that we're gonna be playing with, at least some of it. Some of it I have already used. This was from a previous video, so let's get rid of that one. This Mega RAID, don't need that either. It has been installed. So, but I have copied over a test file. This is a 3.5 gigabyte big file, and I know that this USB stick is slow as the grave, so I'm gonna start copying that somewhere where it's faster, like out here on this. They're 20 megabytes per second. That's actually not that bad. It was way slower on my PC, so let's get that out of the way. But we're gonna create that RAMdisk, and I found something called RAMdisk setup. So let's run that. And this is from Soft Perfect RAMdisk. This is a trial version that I found just looking on Google for software to install to try this out. There are other software available like this. This was 179 Danish kroners for home use. Well, when the 30-day trial is over. So let's install that. Yes, install. There we go. Cool. Fortunately, there is a lot of good RAM in this server. So launch. So we can create our drive here. This server has 128 gigabytes of memory. So we are able to create a fairly large RAM disk if we want to. I don't know if we want to, but we could. So if we can, shouldn't we? I think we'll make one of, so let's see, 96 gigabytes. 96 gigabyte RAM drive comes to 98.304 in gigabits. Or is it the other way around? Ah, fuck it. It's not important, but that's the right amount. I see that it has installed this in Danish. I don't get it why it did that. And we can create our drive down here. I think we need this NTFS. Drive letter A. That should be available. I just had to check if there was a floppy drive in that server. There isn't. It's too new. So that's okay on that. Mounting. So as if we didn't have enough drives on this server, now we also get a RAM drive. I hope this doesn't take too long. Okay, it didn't take that long, but in the meanwhile, I did actually install 3 other test programs. So now we're ready to do some testing on this. So we have our RAM drive and it's mounted and it should be available. So we'll go look for it. This PC, we have an A drive here. That's the fastest floppy drive I've ever had, I'm sure. So let's start with Crystal Report here and just pick that A drive there. This should give us the best result that I can achieve, I hope. So let's check all. So I got the numbers on that and I wanted to run the discard drive as well. I ran into the problem that this HD Tune, it sees the physical devices and it's only able to handle this amount of drives. So the software is not made for this many drives. So apparently that's a no-go. So we can go out of that one. I will copy my little test file over to the A drive. Here, this 3.5 gigabyte file is going in there. Copy here. That wasn't too slow. That was excellent. Let's try and copy it to one of the arrays. RAM drive. We need a little folder to copy it back to, so that we can get both the read and the write speed. So let's see. So the slowest speed we should get from these SATA drives running RAID 5. So let's start there and try and copy the file forth and back. See? Copy here. Let's see what we get. Oh, that is not bad at all. That was quick. Let's copy it back to the array. Write speed is often slower. Oh, that was write speed, so now this would be read speed. Yeah, 1 gig per second, more or less. That is pretty cool. Go and delete that one. So let's go to the next one. That should be the SATA. The slowest one should be RAID 1. The next slowest one should be this RAID 1. I have no idea if that's going to be true. We will try and copy the file over here. That means that when we're copying it from the RAM drive and to the disk array, that will be the write speed that we are checking. There. And we get over a giga per second almost from the start. So let's copy it back. That will be read speed. Actually, that seemed a bit slower. So we'll go to the next array. This was the RAID 1. So now we'll go and check the RAID 0. 30 terabyte SAS drive, RAID 0. I have been testing this with some iSCSI things, so there is an iSCSI folder on there. That's totally okay. We'll put this next to it. Copy here, copy. And we get very close to a gigabyte per second. That's really quick. Let's try and copy it back, see if what we get that way. Copy. There seems to be a limit around that 1 gigabyte per second. I don't know where that is coming from. That might be the RAID controller. We're hitting the limits. We'll now go into the Sas drives, and this 10 terabyte drive is made of Sas drives, and they're running in RAID 5. So let's copy the file down there. Yeah, still just about a gigabyte per second. And the other way, read speed. That is a bit slower. Actually, it's 200 megabytes per second slower, but it doesn't look like much when you're up in that high. Let's remove this again. Go on to the next one. So now we're gonna be trying the RAID 1. RAID 1 is slower because it has to write the same data to both disks. Where RAID 0, it just divides. This one goes up here, that one goes down there. So up here, we pick our file, we copy it down there, copy, and we get just about a gigabyte per second. Let's copy it back. I'm guessing that we have hit some limit there. I'm sure someone will tell me what we hit. Oh, this is a bit over actually. That was almost 1.1 gigabyte per second. So let's go to the RAID 0. That should be the fastest of the arrays. I have no idea if that's going to be true. So copy file here. This is write speed again. And we do get a gigabyte per second. Copy that back. Now we're testing the read speed. Yeah, we are hitting some limit here. So okay, let's try and copy to some other locations. Now we get really good results on the drive arrays down there, I must say. I really need a bigger file to test here. Okay, so now I picked the two Sas drives in RAID 0. We're just gonna delete the file up here so we are ready for testing. I have deleted that a lot. So now we're gonna copy that down there. These are on another RAID controller, so we might get a different result. Let's see how this goes. Copy. Pretty much the same, I would say. I'm reading that data. Also about the same. So let's go to the single Sas drive. That should be slower in my head. That's a 500 gigabyte Sas drive. So let's copy down there. No, that Sas drive should not be able to handle data that quick. It's still blinking down in the server. So see, the bottom one is the Sas drive, the top one is the operating system. Yeah, I don't know if it's completed. I would guess that it's done. but there's a lot of activity there. Yeah, I must be done now. Okay, I ran this crystal disk mark on the single Sas drive over here, and these results look very normal. So we get about 100 megabytes per second read speed and 56 write speed, and they're not that high. But I also transferred another big file, so I was curious to see how fast it would transfer two big files. If we run out of buffer or something, we really should run out of buffer. So let's try and copy those. They are both about 3.5 gigabyte each. So let's copy. That's pretty good, I must say. So the rate controller must be doing its job. Let's copy those back. Copy. Which is actually a little bit slower. And then it boosted just for the last little bit. Something is working way better than it should, because that drive, I believe these numbers more. This should be a good test. Copy forth and back. So the last drive we haven't tested is really the SSD in here. So let's go there, and I'll just create a temp folder. And we'll try and copy our files from the RAM drive and down to the test folder. And copy. And we still get about a gigabyte per second. And it waits a little bit here at the end. Select the two files. And copy. Now it does it without oh, we actually get some more speed here, over 1.1 giga per second. Awesome. Okay, I took some time and I transferred like I think there's 82 gigabytes of video data here, and I've copied that to the RAM drive. And right now I'm copying it down to the SSD or the C drive, and I found the limit. This part it's transferring over here with about a gigabytes per second, but now it has really dropped rapidly, so now it's not able to buffer that amount anymore. So right now it's very slow, and sometimes it will just peak up and it will go down again. But it's not interesting to see how fast it can copy it to the SSD. It's much more interesting to see how fast it can copy it down to the disk array down here. Those. So I'm gonna cancel this and try that instead. Okay, I have deleted the data that I was playing with before, and I picked the 30 terabyte Sas drive down here in a RAID 0. So this is the fastest, SATA drives, 30 terabyte SATA drives, but with the Sas thing on the back of the drive. So we're gonna try and copy everything, these 82 gigabytes of data down there, and see how that goes. It's probably gonna start really well. Yeah, we are over 1 gigabyte per second, and it's keeping steady. It's dropping a little bit, still going strong. It's fighting it. We're down to 900 megabytes, 800 megabytes per second, 600. Ooh. It's doing better than the SSD. That's amazing. You can see the number of gigabytes going down right there. So apparently going to those 24 SATA drives is better than copying to that. I believe it's a Samsung Evo drive that is in there. Yeah. Oh, we are up again. This is pretty good actually. There is some it is going quite a bit up and down, I must say, but this is not bad at all. Yeah, we are almost at 1.2 gigabytes per second, and then we drop down considerably again. That was pretty good. Let's try the Sas Drives instead, see how they do compared to. So we're gonna select the 10 terabyte Sas drive here. We're gonna delete this Lenovo patch file and then just copy these files down again. Oh, I saw over 1.2 gigabyte. Yeah, it's rather good. 1.24. Okay, so it does help to have a lot of drives ready to save that data. Now it dropped quite a lot. Almost down at 600 megabytes per second, which is still really good. I saw 1.26 gigabytes per second there. That is actually a lot of data being transferred. It doesn't look like much, but I remember when just 18 gigabytes would take like hours to transfer over a USB 2 connection. Okay, I think it was about the same. We saw some more peaks here. So this is copying to that one Sas drive that is in here, and it started out really well, and it drops all the way to 0. So apparently I think Windows operating system is somehow caching this and then writing to the drive and then starting again and then stopping. So that's not as good at all. So we're gonna cancel that. That takes forever. That's the data going to one drive. Now I'm gonna try with the 2 Sas drives in a RAID 0. So I'm gonna pick all of them again and copy. And it starts really well and it drops some. I'm interested to see if this is more even and how much data it can maintain. Yeah. This is about what you could expect from 2 hard drives. Oh, now it's too little. Yeah, and it's up again. This is not... If it doesn't zero out completely in just, well, 355 kilobytes is not that much. But 200, 300 megabytes per second, it's not bad at all. This is bad, but... It doesn't zero out as bad as it did with just one drive, so this is considerably better. It seems that it's more able to keep up with the buffer. Of course it buffers. All of this must have been some kind of a buffering, and then now it's just writing to the disks as fast as it can and opening up for more buffering along the way. So okay, this is better than just one drive, that's for sure. Okay, I ran this crystal disk mark on first. This is the 30 terabytes, RAID 0, RAID 1 and RAID 5, and this shows very clearly that RAID 0 is fastest like 747 megabytes per second, where RAID 1 is a little bit slower, 706 megabytes per second. And over here we have RAID 5, which is only, it's still a very good score, 577 megabytes per second. So this is exactly the numbers that I would be expecting. There's really bad performance in the 4K area, but well, there is that. Okay, testing that, I must admit I got way better performance than I had even dared to hope for, because we saw really poor output when I was trying this over iSCSI. It was so bad. But I don't know what that 1 gigabyte per second limit is. I'm guessing that it might be the SAS 6 gigabit connection, but from what I've been reading, that should actually be able to do 2.4 gigabytes per second theoretically. So probably a bit lower, but this is just about half. So a lot of stuff could be going on here, but yeah, I got better result than I had hoped for. If you watched this far, please give the video a thumbs up and enjoy this new ending of my videos that I have made. Yeah, just for you. Thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.